So I've been meaning to make this video for a while. Unknowingly for the past 2 seasons, I've been collecting test rides on my friends' 600cc bikes like Thanos Infinity Stones, and it's kind of a funny way to put it, but yeah guys, welcome back. J Rides Moto here. How are you guys doing? So today we're going to talk about which 600cc is best, and just disclaimer from the title, we're talking about the big four. We're not talking about Aprilia, we're not talking about BMW doesn't even make a 600, but we're talking about what they're all good at, how comfortable they are, the power. Some I've only ridden about like half a mile down the road, and others, well, I've
Is it about to blow up, dude?
No, the motor's blowing up.
Kick that down for me, please.
You good?
Yeah, so we're going to get into that, but before we go any further, remember guys, this is my personal opinion. This isn't motorcycle gospel. This is a very surface level analysis because I've had such limited time with these bikes. I mean, hell, every single one of them, like I said, was registered in someone else's name. So it's not like I was taking it out to the twisties, going hard as hell, or maxing out every single one of these. I think only 2 out of the list I have maxed out. So, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. It's kind of just my thoughts and opinions. We're only talking about the big four. Well, because frankly, forget anything that's not Japanese, guys. I mean, sorry, they build the most reliable, popular, and in my opinion, well, that'll be a little shaky, but I think the best looking, maybe. Actually, the Panigale V2 is really pretty. I'll give him that. It's a very expensive bike to maintain, but it is very pretty. I will give it that. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, ZX6R aka 636. Now this one was the shortest ride I ever did on a 600cc. It was my buddy's 2019 to 2023 Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R. Now starting off the bat, this bike, especially for the years I was talking about, actually specifically, it just mogs all the other motorcycles in the lineup, like including leader bikes. This generation 636 is so beautiful. I love how slick and sharp the corners of the edge of the front fairing are. It literally looks so gorgeous. I mean, when you're looking at it from the back, the front, it just looks like this, I don't know, like a track weapon, razor sharp knife needle. I mean, that sounds kind of cringe, but it looks so beautiful. I love the way this 636 looks. Like every time I see one on the road, I'm like, damn, it looks so good, I'm not even sure if Kawasaki can top the design of this Gen ZX6R. It's just so beautifully designed. Like, those engineers need a raise, bro. It's so beautiful. Like, no other year, especially the new one, isn't really comparing to it. Sorry, buddy, if you're watching this, the one who just bought one, my friend just did. But I'll only talk about, looks. I'm only going to glaze the looks on this 600 because it was really that good. Like, I just love the way it looks. It's so beautiful, it's so sleek and so professional. I mean, I know that was a bit of a glaze session, but seriously guys, this bike, especially with how it's designed, just deserves all the praise with how beautiful it looks. So anyways, enough with the glazing. Regarding the ergonomics, about like, I think it was right at the end of last season around September, well actually I had done this before with him, but my buddy has a 2021 ZX10R 2022, and holy that thing is so uncomfortable. The ZX10R of that generation from 2021 to 2025 is so track focused. It is so track focused. I mean, the ZX6R felt noticeably more comfortable than the 10R, which was intentional, right? Like, even Google backed me up, citing that these clip-ons and the seat height are very aggressive on the 10R versus the 6R. So right out the box, you're actually getting a surprisingly comfortable 600cc. And the reason I say this is because Kawasaki has always been a lead in power. And remember, when manufacturers are chasing power and racing competitiveness, comfort and ergonomics are not at the top of the list. And, you know, with my previous perception of the 636, I thought it was super aggressive, just like the 10R was, because I had just never really sat on one. And, you know, until I sat on one, I couldn't speak for older years, but the 2019 to the 2023 is actually surprisingly comfortable. I mean, as comfortable as a super sport can be, but, you know, in terms of power delivery, if you've ever rode a CBR 600 or a Gixxer 600 and you've hopped on a 636, you can feel those extra 36 cc's kicking down low. And I'd be led to believe that those extra 36 cc's actually account for an extra 5 to 10 horsepower estimated, because I haven't really done a dyno tune test. I haven't seen it. I haven't gone that well depth into researching other than just looking up, you know, rear wheel horsepower and crank horsepower. It actually does add a noticeable amount of weight. So the 636 is generally about 5 to 10 pounds heavier, which is funny. 5 to 10 horsepower, 5 to 10 pounds heavier. You know, both are estimates, but especially with ABS, it can be a bit heavier. Because I remember when I test rode my buddy's 636, I remember, like, it did feel like, it kind of felt like a 750, honestly, dude. Like, just the way a 750 is in terms of weight. It's close to a liter bike, but it's been on a diet, you know? And the 636, especially for being the heaviest and most displaced, I guess, bike in the 600 class, it does feel a bit heavier. It really is noticeable, because I rode my buddy's CBR 600, you know, a couple days before, and then I jumped on that one, and I was like, damn, 636 is sturdier, which is good for highway speeds, right? But it's definitely going to feel just a hair bit less agile than a traditional 599cc. But I mean, compare that to a non-ABS leader bike, it's still a bit flickable and lighter, you know? Now, I like the way the 636 pulls. It is convenient having a bit more displacement, because in terms of top end, obviously I never got the chance to test it, but after, you know, reviewing some videos of others topping out their 636s, it would seem that their top end is obviously similar. You know, if you were to put it against an R6, the R6 is going to pull way harder around 500, or not 500, 155 miles an hour indicated. But, you know, like the internet says, those extra 36 cc's actually do help you in the low end and mid range, which honestly is sometimes better for everyday use, because not everyone is going to be like going 160 miles an hour. But even if you're going to go 160 miles an hour, you still need to spool up the engine like a turbocharger, right? And those extra 36 cc's are going to help get you there a little quicker and, you know, help the bike pick up, unlike the R6, which bogs like a freaking pig, or sandbags like you're in a cross country race and you're running out of steam. Like, you know, a good comparison would be like those extra 36 cc's. It's kind of like wearing a rain jacket and having an umbrella while you're in a drizzle. It's not necessary, but it's helpful. I mean, I hope that comparison worked. I think that the worst thing I can say about the 636 is that, I'm going to say it appears, because this is just my perception. I could be wrong. I see some videos where either the tire pressure was off. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. The tire pressure might have been off, the suspension might have been improperly adjusted, or the rider might have had a death grip upon the handlebars, or genuinely they hit a bad bump where this happens. Like I said, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I feel like the 636 suffers from tank slappers a lot. And I don't know if it's some kind of recall problem or anything, but I just think that bikes without a steering dampener are downright dangerous to ride, because if you hit a tank slapper, there's really no stopping it, whereas you at least have a chance if you got an Öhlins or a GPR, you know, steering stabilizer. I actually remember two people that I know who have both had the 636 generations. They've had some degree of a tank slapper happen to them. So unfortunately, if you buy a 636, you're gonna have to shell out about $800 on a steering dampener, or you could risk losing control above 100 miles an hour. God forbid that happens to you. I do not want that to happen to you. Now, the redeeming factor of that, this at least generation, because I think beforehand it had a, you know, only a light. But not only does this generation 636 have a gear indicator, but it also has a gas gauge. Like, this is insane insane. Most of these bikes are going to have a fuel light, CBR, or actually not CBR, they actually have a gas gauge. That was a bad example. But like if you have a fuel light, it sucks, because then you have to mentally, anecdotally calculate how much fuel you need after a rip. I mean, I guess you could learn it. I've learned to live with it, where you kind of just wiggle it between your legs long enough to know how much an empty, a half, or a full tank feels. But having a fuel indicator can kind of be helpful, because you can kind of track it in real time. And like, might I just say, the gauge cluster, the way that Kawasaki designed it for 2019 to 2023, it's really well put together. You can read it. I love the lines, they're so sharp. And just like having that fuel indicator on a 600cc class, because they're all track bikes, let's be honest, having a fuel indicator is so awesome. I really love that. Or fuel level indicator, that's what I meant to say. But you know, in conclusion, the 636 Mogs, it's very easy to live with. And just don't buy a new one. Buy one from 2023 and below. Yeah, and you know why. You watch my other video, you've seen the recalls. Yeah, 636 Mogs though. Alright, Yamaha YZF R6, baby! Woo! I love the R6. Okay, you guys have seen the video. If you haven't, if you're new to the channel, you're going to see the most important clips from that video. Just stay tuned, okay? So this is the one on the list that didn't belong to me, that I topped out, I guess the only one, and blew up, which you guys are going to see. So, yes, before you ask, I did buy my buddy a new engine for $3,000. So him and I are square, okay? I'm not screwing over my buddy. But yeah, the infamous R6. Now, before I ever rode it, I remember Yami Noob was talking about how the 08 to 09 R6 was goated. It was kind of Yamaha's version of the 2005 to 2006 GSXR 1000. You know, we're talking about the best years to power to weight ratio. I think with the R1, theirs was like 2004 to 2005. I don't know, it could be somewhere, but you know, every single one of the big four has had a bike where it makes insane power to weight ratio, just for I guess emissions regulations the next year to come out and just neuter the bike, which kind of sucks. I mean, you could do modifications on your own to make it lighter and faster, but I mean, it's easier when it comes out the factory, right? Google cited the best years for those power in 08-09. Those R6 were making 127 to 129 approximately horsepower at the crank, which is higher than the 116 to 118 horsepower found in the 2017 Plus models, right? And I get it, emissions regulations really screws people over, or rather Yamaha, but whatever. You know, it sucks, but a lot of people glaze the R6 and talk about how good it is. And for a while, like, I found it really annoying. You see this a lot on Instagram when the 600 classes, like, one of them makes a Instagram video saying they're better than one another. That's where the class wars happen, right? Everyone argues which is best. And now I kind of understand it. Like, people glaze the R6 for a reason, because beforehand, I did not understand. But after riding it, I'm like, holy crap. R6 is such a true super sport screamer. Like, it is powerful, very noticeably for a 600cc. Like, I didn't even need to top it out to really realize that, because early in first and second gear, you can feel that power kick in at 6,000 to 8,000 RPMs. And can we just talk about how amazing it is that the gauge cluster, there is an R6 at the 6,000 RPM marker? Like, that little detail that Yamaha added, they didn't need to, but it is so neat, and it's one of the reasons why people love the R6. It's just, it's so cool having that, having the brand logo be part of the gauge cluster. It's just a really cool detail, you know? I really like details. Now, R6 is like the definition of a traditional true super sport. Like, it embodies all the stereotypes of a 600cc. The R6 is so weak down low. Like, that's why I'm talking about the 636. Those extra 36 cc's really helps it get out of bed. And I know, like, I keep citing those cc's, they play a really important role, but everyone unanimously agrees that the R6 has no torque below 7.5 RPMs, you know, 8,000 RPM. That's kind of where I'll give it a range of where the power kicks in. Like, some people literally say it feels like a 300cc down low, which I won't even argue with. But yo, once you cross plus like 7.5 to 8,000 RPMs. Holy light switch, dude. The R6 becomes a rocket on steroids. I mean, that scream is so addictive. Once the R6 is in the power band, it is pulling like a freight train and it is not stopping. I can comfortably say it is the most powerful 600cc, at least, you know, the years before, like, you know, before 2015, 2014, I'll give an estimate. It feels the strongest. It sounds so good. I love the way the R6 sounds, especially with a Yoshimura exhaust. Yoshimura is just, it pairs so well with Yamaha. I absolutely love the power. Yamaha ain't around. They know how to make an amazing machine, and pianos for that matter. Now, for how beautiful and how screaming loud and just powerful it is, I do have a lot of issues with the R6. Starting with the lack of a gear indicator. Now, I'll go into this. It pisses me off because I want to know what gear I'm in, and the CBR does this too, which is like, it just makes me, it very much annoys me, and that's important because on a 600cc, you have to constantly downshift to stay in the power band and keep going fast, or else it's just going to bog in 6th gear and ride like a 400cc. And you know, riding fast on the highway takes a lot of mental load, lane splitting, like you need to be focused, looking 4 cars ahead, and having a gear indicator is one less thing to worry about. Now, it's not necessary to ride it, of course. Like, people have, like, a lot of people just ride without gear indicators. I'm not saying it's necessary. Personally, J Rides Moto, me, I feel like I need one. Not to be a better, well, I guess it is to be a better rider, but I don't want to accidentally blow my transmission up by downshifting too early because I forgot what gear I'm in because I'm too busy focusing and I can't remember what gear I'm in. And I feel like it happens a lot more than you think. Like, I remember when I rode my buddy's CBR 600. Yeah, I rode 2 of my buddies, you know, 2 different people, CBR 600. When I was both riding their bikes, I downshifted too early and put a lot of load on the transmission. Granted, you could say I'm not used to it, but like having a gear indicator would have prevented that, so that just kind of sucks. And the R6 obviously doesn't come with a steering dampener. I will show you why that's a problem. So we talked about the importance of a steering dampener on last segment, so I won't be a dead horse. You guys know what that is, but most Yami guys actually run a GPR steering dampener, at least what I've seen on YouTube, especially, I think Wilkid Hill. Oh, no, that's on a ZX-10, never mind. GPR seems to do a good job. They also cost $200 less, so not sponsored, but the Öhlins one is about $790, $780. The GPR is like $500, $500 600 maybe, I don't know, but I'm not sponsored by either one. I'm just saying different options, different prices, right? Now, the biggest worst problems I have with the R6 is the seating position. Now, I currently stand at 5'6", 180 to 185 pounds, and there is not a way I can feel comfortable on the R6. Throwing out the fact that it's a super sport, like, I don't know what it is. I've never felt comfortable on Yammies. Maybe because I'm a shorter rider, or rather I'm not big enough, but I remember sitting on the R6. It is such a tall bike, guys. If you're considering buying the R6, please be above, like, please be 5'8" or above, because it is a tall bike, with the seat height approximately being 33.5 inches. Literally, to put that in perspective, the GSXR 600 is around 31.9 to 32 inches. The R6 is literally 33.5. So I was on the edge of my tiptoes at a stoplight when I was riding it, when my buddy let me ride his that I blew up. And, you know, just on one to begin with, I would have to be on 1 foot or like on the edge of tippy toes. I did not feel comfortable. Like, I felt like it would be very easy for someone to accidentally like pull up to me next at a stoplight and just give me a little kick and I would have fell over. So not that anyone would do that. I'm just saying if stuff like that would happen. It doesn't just stop there, dude. The clip-ons are lower, meaning your handlebars, clip-ons, if you didn't know what I was talking about, meaning your back will stretch further more, your legs are going to lean forward more, and generally it is so uncomfortable for street riding. I hate it. There's a thing called a seat to grip drop, and it's the vertical distance between the top of the seat and the handlebars, basically how far you have to lean forward to reach the bars. The CBR is cited at 6 to 7 inches. Yeah, I know, 6'7". The 636 is at 5.5 to 5.6 inches. The GSXR is at 5 to 6 inches. The R6 is at 7 to 8 inches. I knew I wasn't making this up. I mean, not to mention the rear sets, which I literally asked my computer to do the math on this to make sure I'm not talking out of my rear end. And I'm truly doing my research involving vertical drop, standard femur and tibia measurements, hip to peg distance. And obviously, the conclusion was the R6 is going to feel more punishing, mathematically proven. Like, God, I hated math in high school so much, but now look how useful it is. I mean, as long as the computer does it for me anyway, but all right, back to the point. It is because I'm a shorter rider. Like, I'm sure someone who's 5'11" at 195 pounds is probably going to feel way better on the R6 than I do, but you can't deny the math. Even for a standard American 5'9" guy, it probably would still be a little uncomfortable, and I'm saying standard because I think 5'9" is the average American height, and that's fine for the track, because if the rear sets are higher and further back, that's going to give you more ground clearance and aggressive lean when you're trying to drag knee or whatever if you're a track rider, and aggressive tuck for when you're rolling out of the the corners, going into full throttle, and you just want to be tucking to shave seconds off your lap time with aerodynamics and stuff like that. With the clip-on handlebars being just so low, more of your belly and your shoulders, and everything in the front and your head are leaned towards the front tire. And the benefit is being that supposedly you're going to have better feedback at turns. I'm just saying supposedly because I've never actually been on track with an R6. It's just what I've been told and what I look up. I'm not trying to talk out my rear end. It's easier to tuck when fighting ridden resistance. I know that because obviously I've done 160 on an R6. Obviously I bet there's more, but that kind of covers the front and the back of the R6, right? It's going to help you with lean angle and tuck, because when you're at the track, seconds matter. Like, you're not there to do a cross-country commute to Texas and be comfortable. You are there to drag knee, win medals, and go fast. So in conclusion, the R6 has most exciting power, like seriously, but it is the least streetable. Like, this is a traditional track bike. I'm telling you guys, traditional track bike. Honda CBR 600RR, good old Honda, baby. Where do I even start? So the CBR 600RR is known. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. It is the slowest 600, okay? People make fun of it for a reason. Now, Hondas are... I'll try to explain this. Hondas feel smooth for the power band. In return, it's not going to be aggressive. It's kind of a hard thing to conceptualize unless you've ridden a CBR 600RR or a 1000 or a Honda for that matter. My dad kind of... He describes it as being buttery smooth. Now, the trade-off is the CBR not being aggressive. The power band is actually very predictable. It's very linear. And for it being a very linear power band, despite having 599 cc's, it actually kind of reminds me of the 636. Yes, I know, all roads lead back to the 636's extra displacement. The CBR kind of feels like it has power in every gear, nowhere near as overwhelming as its big brother the 1000, but it just kind of feels like that because it's so smooth. Honda's claim to fame is its bulletproof reliability, right? Now, people make jokes that you can drain the oil, drop it off a one-story building, and it'll still run. Now, none of that is grounded in reality, but it is a testament to how reliable Honda makes their machines. Like, you ever been to a car meet, talk to car people? The way people in the car community will talk about how reliable the Civics are, they're like, oh, you can't kill a Civic. It's just a testament to how the bike is wearing the same badge as these bulletproof cars that people abuse. You know, people really abuse Civics. You know, they rice them out. The only mechanically weird or bad thing about Hondas, besides the transmissions on the cars, we're not talking about that, they burn oil. Now, I'm not sure why, but it isn't the end of the world. Every 2 weeks, if you dump about 100 milliliters or measure it out in a measuring cup or however much it needs, dude, the oil level goes right back to normal. Especially if you're living in Redline, which on a 600 you should be, unless you baby it and you just like to ride it chill, then that's fine. No one's gonna get mad at you. But my 2014 CBR 1000RR burned oil, and you know, all me and my dad was just do an oil check every 2 weeks, and that was it. And that was the only really problem. So you just have to spend a little bit more money on oil. Not a big deal. Now, the seating position on the CBR takes some getting used to. The biggest thing that stuck out about the CBR is it feels like you're sitting on top of the bike rather than in the pocket of the bike. Now, if you ever ridden a Ninja 300 or 400 or maybe an R3, you know what it feels like to sit in the pocket of the bike where the handlebars come up and you feel like, you know, you're in a pocket or whatever, right? Whereas with the 600, the seat is a little higher and the clip-ons are certainly way lower. So it feels like you're sitting on top of the bike. It sounds really weird, but you have to sit on like a 400cc or like a starter sport bike, and then sit on a CBR 600, and you'll completely understand what I'm saying. Because you know, when I was hanging out with my buddy who had his the yellow CBR, I had my Ninja 400 at the time. I was just starting out. We were parked up in a parking lot, and I just kept switching from his bike to my bike just to see what a 600 would feel like eventually when I would buy one. And my initial thought was like, dude, this is so uncomfortable. And then number two, it feels like I'm sitting on top of the bike. Like, I don't know how to describe it. You just feel like you're sitting on top of the bike. And I'd sit on a CBR 600RR for the rest of my life before I ever sat on an R6 ever again. And Honda has a weird duality, because I kind of spoiled this earlier, but I hate how it doesn't have a gear indicator. Like, I don't want to blow up my transmission, as I said before, accidentally, but it has a gas gauge. Like, make it make sense, Honda. You don't have a gas gauge, or you have a gas gauge, but you don't have a gear indicator. Like, what? How can you have a gas gauge, but then it's not important to keep track of your gears? What? Like, you need to get your priorities straight, Honda, okay? Like, I don't want to speak out my rear end, but if this is a racing machine, why the would you not want a gear indicator opposed to and downgrade to a fuel light? It doesn't make any sense to me, but I mean, clearly Honda is not catering to J-Ride's moto, so we'll leave it at that. And I'm not talking about the new models that are in Europe, because those 600cc's, Honda finally updated it, and it got the same screen as the 2017 CBR 1000RR. So good on Honda for finally updating it after 15 years, but whatever, dude. Now, a lot of people don't like the look of the undertail exhaust, and the reason I have to talk about this is because Honda is the only bike out of the big four that does this, counting on the fact that you go with the standard slip-on, it's going to be on the right side of the bike as per normal, coming out of the headers, which are angled that way. And it's crazy because the positioning, the reason why I have to talk about this, it is actually very significant. After you put an undertail slip-on, it's going to seem actually less quieter because the exhaust is coming straight out of your rear end as opposed to hitting your right ear like a normal slip-on. It almost creates, I want you to imagine you're on the motorcycle, and then behind you is an invisible circle. It's like a circular bubble of noise you're emitting. That's what it's like. And it's actually easier to live day by day because it's not as loud, and the effect of, the plate, the plate mounting is so weird because of that, because the exhaust is coming out. I don't like how people have the tucked plate at the bottom of the swing arm look. I don't like the way that looks, because if you ever need to take it off, well, I guess that's personally opposed to me, because I take my plate off every time I go on the highway. Or, I mean, a track. Of course, a closed track, right? I don't know, man. Like, just when you're riding it, it feels like you have a bubble of sound behind you, but it's very, very evenly dispersed. So it's not as bad as, like, any other traditional coming out the right side. So those are the two things with, like, the tail that are so different than other 600, is the sound and the way that, you know, the undertail exhaust plate mount is going to be mounted at, right? I don't like it, but if you end up blowing past a cop on camera, and they could just rewind the footage and possibly ID you, so it's better to go with the standard mount and just take it off as needed. But also, real Honda boys rock a Two Brothers slip-on. Anything less than on a CBR is absolutely unacceptable. Two Brothers for life, baby. HESD, Honda Electronic Steering Dampener. Okay, this is a feature that came alive in 2007 on Honda CBR 600RRs. HEST, which I'll call it from now on, HESD. HEST is Honda's just magical tool, man. It stabilizes the front end of the bike at high speeds during, you know, sudden maneuvers. Essentially, it does what, you know, the name would say. It reduces wobbles, tank slappers, and just twitchy steering without making the bars feel like heavy at low speeds. And what is so cool about it is it doesn't need fluid. You don't need to adjust it. And at low speeds, this thing is so smart, guys. It will literally automatically soften the dampening force. But when you go over bumps at like 130 miles an hour on the interstate, HESD will literally stiffen the dampening based on sensors, and that can prevent take slappers. Like, how smart is that? It works so seamlessly using these like electronic valves and a hydraulic dampener. It is so much more complex, and I'd love to talk about it more, but that's not what this video is about. Like, HEST is so smart. It does all these tiny adjustments at every second. And I love HEST so much. It's so amazing. I bet my life on it. Oh, wait, I have. I've gone over countless bridges on the interstate where the asphalt changes to another material, you know, on those little bridges, vice versa. And HEST corrects instantly. I'm talking 130 miles an hour, 140 miles an hour. I've changed the road conditions. HESC takes care of me like that, baby. She's got my back. I mean, based on whatever clips from the last two segments, you know that, like, the changing road conditions over 100 miles an hour can give you a death wobble. You've seen, you know, what happens. Just like rocks, you know, just a lot of different things can cause a death wobble, right? Now, I get it. I'm going to remain humble about it. HEST isn't God. It isn't some magical device that's going to make every ride squeaky clean perfect. It's probably possible to get, and people have probably gotten this before, a tank slapper with one, but HEST works so well, and Honda engineers are so smart. It's insane, dude. I love HEST so much, and Honda, I love you. I really do. So in conclusion, the 600cc needs some work before I would buy one for my liking. I would buy the new one that came out in Europe in 2023. So, you know, I'll flash that on screen. You guys will see it has a gear indicator, a TFT display. All you need to do is just figure out the plate mount, and I am sold for that one. Here we go, guys. GSXR 600 Grand Sport Experimental Racer. Oh, my favorite, the most hated, the underdog, the GSXR 600. Woo, baby. I love this bike so much, man. All right, I'm biased. I'm very biased, as you guys can tell from the tone of my voice. Everything about it just fits me, and that's probably why. We've already mentioned the math. Since I'm standing at 5'6", sitting on this bike has a 31.9 seat height. It's no wonder this bike fits me so well. Gixxer has the most important feature I wanted on a 600, a gear indicator, and that's probably why they win. I love how Suzuki is such an underdog. People hate it online, but a lot of it is bandwagon, with a lot of our riders having a stereotype not to wear gear who, you know, ride Suzukis. I'm going to help break that stereotype, and you guys are going to see soon, especially with what I'm wearing this season. And the only really negative thing people have to say about it is the headlight design. I get it. it. When I first saw Suzuki's, I thought they were weird when I had a Ninja 400. You either love it or hate it. Like, they have a point. Stock Suzuki lights are very weak at night, and I'm very lucky because, well, I can't spoil the surprise. Oh my god, I wanted to support. I'm not gonna spoil it yet, okay? Even my 2021 Ninja 400 having stock bulbs from the woman I bought it from, it still had like a 2 headlight configuration, which makes it so much more effective even on stock bulbs. I don't care too much. I love Suzuki. Even with all the hate, their bikes deliver on power. Not to mention they're made in Japan, which reliability is rock strong. Quality control is there, you know, compared to other places. Suzuki has those 2 features I'm looking for. It comes with a stock steering dampener, and it comes with a gear indicator. Those 2 combined with the fact that it's so comfortable, it just, I'm sold. I'm sold. I love it. I love the way it is. Even people say that Suzukis are very comfortable. So all these things being combined, why do you think I wouldn't just jump on Suzukis and say I love them, you know? Obviously, as you guys know, I owned a 2007 GSXR 600. It had a lot of problems because the last owner abused it, but it taught me a lot about how Suzukis are. They're underdogs. They are just raw power. And dude, I'm telling you, at 8,000 RPMs, when my Gixxer woke up, oh my god, I fell in love with the Gixxer 600. It is a beautiful, amazing bike, and I am so honored that I got a Gixxer 600 as my first 600cc. I love it. I wouldn't have wanted another 600. I'm serious. All right, listen. I'm gonna be honest in this video. The only negative thing I have to say about Gixxers are the rectifiers and stators. Now, my first Gixxer, right, my 07, I believe especially for this year, the rectifier, the stator was too close to the front of the headers or somewhere around there on the front of the bike where it got really hot. So what would happen is over time, when you run it hot in the summer, it would like melt it or the heat would damage it. So for this, I remember my dad was telling me about it after I bought the bike because I didn't really do research when I bought the bike, obviously, because I had a $3,000 mechanic bill to fix it, which you guys have seen that video probably. So yeah, it's a $40 relocation kit. Say the bike was in perfect condition, it would have been a $40 relocation kit. So it's not that big of an issue because right after it came out the factory, they realized it. So it is what it is. You just got to relocate it off Amazon. Not that expensive. It's not that bad. But the rectifier and stators, as I've heard on Suzuki's, have not been the best. But hey, that's why you got to buy a brand, just an aftermarket kit or whatever, and just have someone professional do the wiring, right? I mean, I really enjoy their top end. Their 1000cc has an extremely strong top end. Extraordinarily strong, bro. Same with the 750, and their 600 obviously has that decent mid-range punch. When on that Gixxer 600, when the needle crosses 8,000 RPMs, you better get ready because that thing's gonna take off like a rocket, bro. I mean, I miss my GSXR 600 so much. It was such a blast to ride through traffic. I mean, it was so light too, man. I love it. I can't get over how comfortable they are. Like, compared to sitting on a Yamaha, the GSXR 600 feels like a plush couch with a heated blanket. Like, that's the difference we're talking about, night and day. Like, if you're a shorter rider looking to get into super sports, GSXR is the way. They have a low seat height, higher clip-ons compared to other brands. And, dude, I love Gixxers so much. Like, yeah, it's rocking a gas light, which you're gonna have to learn to live with that. Like I said, all you gotta do is just wiggle it between your legs or do like a 30-minute rip or so, look in the tank and then look for a gas station and just keep doing rips on the Suzuki, and then until you finally realize like, oh, after 40 minutes of ripping or like 45 minutes of ripping, I should probably go fill up, which is kind of a general rule for me. I just love the fact that Suzuki's GSXR is the only brand that offers a 600 and a 750cc class bike that uses the same frame as a 600 that's only about 9 or 10 pounds heavier than the 600. Like, that is insane. That's what makes Suzuki stand out. We sell a 600, then we sell a beefed up 600 that is like a micro 1000. That's what makes them stand out. And people can make fun of the Gixxers all they want, but I am gonna choose a Gixxer all the way. I love Gixxers so much, just the biggest bang for my buck. So if I had to choose a 600cc to live with every day, I would go GSXR 600, Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R, Honda CBR 600RR, and the Yamaha R6. That is in order for 1 through 4. So guys, just remember, like, if you found this video helpful, just please like, subscribe, and remember, disclaimer, this is J Rides Moto's opinion. You know, this is all my anecdotal experience. It's very surface level. If you're gonna buy a 600cc, please watch Revzilla or someone who actually owns the bike and be like, oh, is this bike good for you? Don't just buy a 600 based off of this guide, you know, of my personal experiences. This is just coming from a guy who's 5'6" who likes, you know, fast bikes. So just my thoughts and opinions. Just my thoughts and opinions. I'm not sponsored by anyone. All I know is you can't go wrong with a Japanese bike. I mean, unless you plan to ride the R6 for like hours at a time, okay? Then it's gonna be a medieval torture rack. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Tune in next week because the weather is gonna be good, so we're probably gonna have new videos on the bike. I'm probably gonna announce the new bike as long as it doesn't rain, because if it rains, I'm not going out. I am not risking sliding on cold tires, okay? But I'm really excited to show it off as long as the weather holds good, and it's supposed to be 72 degrees in 2 weeks, so or 2 weekends from now, so hopefully we'll have a rip then. You know, it'll be warm enough to rip on the highway. So yeah, it's time to clean the helmet pads and charge up the batteries, baby. So with that all being said, just like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next week. Until then, keep on riding.